Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm. Welcome to my video channel Life Explained. Here you will find videos on the laws of the universe as they rule our lives. I will explain and illustrate them for you. You will be amazed how easy it is to understand these laws once you see how they operate. You see that link on the top right? It says subscribe. Click on it and together we will continue exploring the wonders of the universe.
Wonders of the universe indeed. Hello, Bezel 333. That was Hans Wilhelm, and although you may not have heard of him, he is in fact a well-known author and illustrator of children's books with over 42 million books in print. Now, Hans' bio on his website says that he is a noted speaker and he inspires audience around the world with his spiritual and life-affirming concepts that he shares in his books.
What sparked my interest in Hans is the fact that among his many other books he has done, he's produced some Sunday school books. They are described on his website as America's favorite Sunday school books that are beloved by millions of Americans of all Christian denominations. Now, the term all Christian denominations, of course, requires that I do a little bit more digging and try to discover just what kind of material would be acceptable to, quote, all Christian denominations. Let's take a look, and as I read the captions, I want you to listen to what is being said. The first two come from the book, Waldo, Tell Me About God. God is in everything? Well, that's certainly not Christianity. That's more like pantheism, although we will find out that Hans means something slightly different than that. Christianity teaches that God created everything, not that He is in everything. Christianity teaches that God is everywhere present, but that He is a whole different thing from that which He created. By our own actions we punish ourselves. That illustration of a boomerang suggests the Hindu notion of karma, not the Christian teaching of an infinitely holy God who is justly angry at sin. Let's go on. These next few are from the book, Waldo, Tell Me About Christ. He writes, Christ suffered as Jesus. Well, that makes it sound like these are two distinct things. More properly, I would say Jesus, the Christ, suffered for us. Nowhere that I'm aware of is Jesus Christ being called in the Scriptures the Great Comforter. However, to be fair, we do find Jesus referring to the Holy Spirit as another advocate or counselor or helper. John 14:16. And I will ask the Father, and He will give you another helper, which is translated counselor or advocate, to be with you forever. Jesus leads us to the Father. What about Jesus being equal with the Father, like we find in John 14:9? He says to Philip, Have I been with you so long, and you still do not know me? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Folks, the Bible teaches that Jesus is not simply a way-shower to God, but rather is God in human flesh showing Himself to men.
Folks, what we're going to find out is that Hans, like so many other people out there, used the Bible in a way it's not intended to be used. The Bible's main subject is Jesus, and it portrays Him not as a deified man or a way-shower to God, but rather as God having taken on human nature and revealing Himself to men. I show these excerpts from his books, his Sunday school books, as examples because they're clues as to what it is that Hans really believes. And what he actually believes is something far different from true biblical Christianity. This will become quite clear as we go along. Hans has created a YouTube channel called Life Explained, which he calls a video book. And here is the introduction to his video book.
These videos are specially designed for viewers who are interested in spirituality. For more than 45 years I have been a student as well as a teacher of the spiritual laws, and it is now my great pleasure to share with you these insights in these videos.
Hans here is sharing about spiritual laws. What are these spiritual laws? Well, let's take a look at a few of the videos that Hans has produced. The first one is called Life Before Birth, and here's how it begins.
The reason why souls like us incarnate into this world are manifold. Now, some come to heal, some come to observe, some come to experience or to assist other souls, but most of us come here for karmic reasons, meaning we want to undo our karma and we also want to grow and wake up to our true essence.
Now, the first thing to observe is Hans' presupposition of the pre-existence of the human soul or spirit. This idea is nowhere found in Scripture, folks, at least that I can find. We are all created by God as unique individual persons who come into existence at conception. Now, this next clip highlights the major world views that Hans holds in his Laws of the Universe. Now, I want you to listen very carefully.
We are spiritual beings or souls, and our true home is the spiritual world. Here we continuously learn and grow, but the growing process is slow because we are only surrounded by like-minded souls or similar vibration. And being in a totally different environment with lots of challenges, like for instance here on Earth, that can speed up our growing and awakening process. Now, most of us have been here on Earth many, many times before and have still karmic ties to other souls we encountered in previous lifetimes. So when we decide to return to Earth, we very carefully discuss and plan our visit with our spiritual guide or guides, and maybe more. Prior to our actual birth, we will try out our future bodies a few times to see if it fits in mommy's tummy. Now, that is always when the baby is kicking in the tummy, that when the soul is actually in the embryo, and try out if it fits.
Prior to our future birth, we try out our bodies to see if they fit. Yeah. How can Hans possibly know that?
But we fully connect and bind with the body only at the actual birth, when we take our first breath. Then the soul and body are united. And here we are. Now let's make a little baby pram here, and there we are. And we are very unhappy, because after being born to parents of similar vibration, we are now painfully reminded and exposed to a behavior pattern that mirrors our own character. And as a young child, we will deeply crave for love and affection, and experience the very same environment that we may have given our own children in past lives. You see, the parents in this lifetime could easily have been our own children in the previous lifetimes.
Okay, from that video of life before birth, we learn a couple things. One, that we are spiritual beings, not body and soul, but really spiritual beings, and our true home is the spiritual world. Most of us have been on the earth many, many times before. That we decide to come to earth. That we have karmic ties with other souls, and that we have spiritual guides. Now, I must stop here and remind you that this fellow Hans has written children's books about God. I must also say that not one of these ideas just described is Christian in the least. Now, let's dig a little deeper.
Karma is the law that brings back the results of all the thoughts, words and actions to the person performing them. Just like a boomerang, they sooner or later come back to us with the same or similar effect and results.
Now, remember the illustration that Hans used in his book about God, the boomerang? He is teaching karma there. He is just omitting the word karma. Now, here's how karma works according to Hans.
Imagine we are stealing money from another, like a robber. For instance, here is our gun, and we ask him, give us our wallet, and here is his wallet. We now have his wallet. Now, this action, just like any emotionally charged thought, word, or deed, gets immediately stored in, firstly, our body, in our cells, or it may even affect our genes, and I will come back on this one later. Our soul, which is sort of inside our body, it stores it just like a computer. The Akashic Records. These are the Akashic Records.
So he's saying that every emotionally charged thought, word, and deed gets stored like a file on a computer in our bodies, our souls, and in the Akashic Records.
The word Akashi or Akasha comes from Sanskrit. It means sky, space, or ether. It's just like a corona around our planet that stores all thoughts, emotions, and actions of mankind. Now, the interesting thing is that none of us has to create or endure negative karma ever. We are always given the choices between insight or pain. Insight is when we listen to our inner guidance or simply follow the basic suggestions of the Ten Commandments and the Golden Rule that says don't do unto others that you don't want them to do unto you. But if we use our free will in opposition to the Ten Commandments and the Golden Rule, we will learn through the consequences via pain.
Mankind is a slow and reluctant learner, and therefore many of us prefer to learn the hard way through pain. Also, for thousands of years, we are told not to kill, not to steal, not to harm anybody. We still do it, and we think we can get away with it. We can't. We never could.
In that illustration, the little fat guy on the side, well, he's the one that stole the wallet, and he gets fat from the money he stole. But he is now chained to the person that he stole the wallet from. And in his next life, he will be poor or have people rob from him. And this cycle will continue until he asks forgiveness and gets forgiveness from the people he has hurt in the past. It is then that his karma will be positive and he will become enlightened. But listen, in case you missed it, to what Hans said.
Insight is when we listen to our inner guidance or simply follow the basic suggestions of the Ten Commandments.
Hans said that we escape negative karma by following the suggestions of the Ten Commandments. When is a commandment ever a suggestion? Let me ask you something. Is a red light at an intersection a suggestion to stop or a command to stop? I mean, try running red lights for just a little while and see what happens. And here is the antithesis of what Hans is describing. The Christian scriptures of the Old and the New Testament, from whence the Ten Commandments tell us that we indeed have a free will, but this will is in bondage to sin from birth through our connection with Adam, our first parent, who sinned the first sin. And sin, of course, according to the Bible, is simply disobedience to the command-giving God who created us. Now, listen to what Hans says next.
Also, for thousands of years, we are told not to kill, not to steal, not to harm anybody. We still do it, and we think we can get away with it. We can't. We never could. But that again is not bad in itself. Everything is always for the best. The fact that we are now have to endure the pain we have inflicted on others will help us to understand their predicament better. It makes us more compassionate, more humane. So in the end, in this friendly universe, everything always turns out for the best for us. This includes the law of karma.
Now, I want you to remember, a lot of people believe that. Billions of people. And perhaps they are right. We live in a friendly universe and everything turns out for the best. But you need to know that the Bible teaches something entirely different about the universe. The Apostle Paul says it best. Romans 8, starting verse 18, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we eagerly await the adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies." What the Apostle Paul is saying is that all creation, the universe, is under a curse because of the sin of our first parents, Adam and Eve. Biblically speaking, we do not live now in a friendly universe. It was before the fall, but not now. We live in a universe that actually now is working against us, being, as Paul said, subjected to futility. That is the part of the curse that we have to live with. That it will be that way. We will eat by the sweat of our face, just like Adam was told, right? We'll have to dig hard in hard ground, dig out the weeds to eat the fruit of the ground. Remember, God said to Adam, "Because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. In pain you shall eat all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field." Remember, it's not going to be easy anymore. It's by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread until you return to the ground, meaning you're going to die. That's part of the curse as well. "For out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return." Indeed, these are the consequences for disobedience to God's one command, a creation that now works against us, and finally, death for each one of us. Now, about things working out for the best, well, according to the Bible, if you are one who rejects the one true and living Creator God, there's no such promise for you. However, if you are trusting in the God who is revealed in the Old and New Testaments as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, then the words of the Apostle Paul do apply to you, and they are these. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. For those whom He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of His Son, in order that He might be the firstborn among many brothers. Now let's go on to discuss the topic of reincarnation.
What is reincarnation? The word carne, of course, means flesh, and incarnation is the process of a soul or spirit entering a physical human body. And reincarnation means the repeated return of that soul or spirit into a human body. Let's take a closer look at it.
Now, this idea may seem outrageous, but remember, this is an idea believed by billions of intelligent, kind-hearted people, and so it's helpful to understand what it is from someone who actually believes it.
We are by nature spiritual beings, also called souls. Our true realm of existence is, of course, spirit.
Now remember, the Bible teaches something very different. We are created as a psychosomatic unity, meaning a material body, a physical body, and an immaterial or soul/spirit. They are the same thing. These two aspects make up a human being, and no human being is complete without both aspects.
So why would some of us want to incarnate, meaning enter the physical body here on earth? Now the reasons are manifold. Some come here to observe, some come here to assist other souls, some come to explore, some come to simply enjoy physicality. But the vast majority of us come here because we are bound to the cycle of reincarnation. Which means we still have unfinished business here on earth. Reincarnation gives us the opportunity to complete and heal anything that has not been resolved or completed in a previous lifetime.
Now Hans is saying that until you have no more unfinished business on earth, you are going to have to come back perhaps thousands of times. And by the way, Hans' form of reincarnation seems to limit this reincarnation to always coming back as a human being, not like a frog or a tree or a bug. And it also appears that once you have no more unfinished business, you can still come back, if you'd like, to assist others or explore or simply enjoy having a human body.
Most souls incarnate into cultures that have one dominant book of wisdom. That can be the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, and so on. And in all of them, they have the same basic rules of life and the golden rule that says, don't do unto others what you don't want them to do unto you. They say it in different words, but the meaning is the same. And in the Western world, we also have the Ten Commandments and the Sermon on the Mount.
The Torah, the Bible, the Quran all have the same basic rules of life. Well, Hans is talking about the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, that's true to a point. It is a true statement. They all do contain that. But is that the entire Bible? Is that the message of the Bible? Is it only a book of wisdom? It's interesting that Hans throws in the Sermon on the Mount, as if the golden rule is all that the Sermon on the Mount is talking about. What Hans is failing to notice is that Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount takes the Ten Commandments and he lifts them to a level that no one is able to obey. Listen to what he says. Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said," these are the Ten Commandments, "you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart." That means you've busted one of the Ten Commandments. He says, if your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body be thrown into hell. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it's better that you lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. Now, not only Is that going so far beyond the Golden Rule or even the Ten Commandments as the Old Testament stipulates them? But Jesus has the audacity to mention hell as the destination for those who don't obey.
They are straightforward, very simple, not complicated. In a few words, we are advised not to kill, not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal, have no idols, and respect our parents and help and assist all those less fortunate than we are. But most of all, also to love and honor God, who is in everyone and everything around us.
God, who is in everyone and everything around us. Again, that is much more like pantheism and not Christianity. You see, they cannot both be right. God cannot be in everyone, and then the Bible saying God is not that, but rather He's everywhere present. They could both be wrong, of course, but they cannot both be right.
Did you know that reincarnation was a fundamental part of the original Christian teachings and that it was later banned by a Roman emperor?
A fundamental Christian teaching? Well, guys, I'm going to have to stop here and give you a breather. I don't want to make this video too long, but tune in to my next video and let's see if that is really the case. See you next time.